Hey everybody, welcome back to Carried Away Travels. This week, I'm really excited to share an adventure with you from my recent trip to Dublin, Ireland. Now, if you've been following my social media accounts, you probably already know that I was there at the beginning of October, and my friend and I got to do some amazing stuff, including a day trip to North Ireland, and it was just fantastic. But things have been crazy, and so today is my first official video to share information about what we did with you guys, and I'm really excited to kick things off with a vintage tea trip. Now, I had absolutely no idea that afternoon tea was even a thing in Ireland until I started planning this trip. In my experience, it's always been referred to as more of a British thing, but apparently back in the day, it was really popular in Ireland as well. And while most people don't typically have afternoon tea these days, it's still used to celebrate special occasions. Now, there's absolutely no shortage of afternoon tea options if you decide you want to try it out as well. There's a very wide range in prices from about 15 euros per person at a place like the Vintage Teapot to more like 55, 60, 70 euros per person at one of the fancier hotels like the Westin or the Shelbourne. There's even a place called Pink that serves up a completely pink themed afternoon tea for about 48 euros. All of these options sounded absolutely fantastic to us, but we really wanted to try something a little different, and we stumbled upon something called Vintage Tea Trips. Now, this company is local to Ireland. They have two locations, one in Dublin, one in Cork, and basically they have retrofitted a vintage bus and turned it into an adorable mobile tea parlor. Now, I absolutely love this because not only did we get to experience a traditional Irish tea, which was delicious, by the way, I'll get into that in a sec, but we also got a little tour of Dublin. It was about an hour and a half long, and they took us on this really pretty route along the river, down to Phoenix Park, and we got to see some really fun landmarks. And there was occasional commentary on some of them. They didn't talk the whole time so that you could chat with the people you were with and enjoy the tea. And overall, it was just a really fun experience. Like I mentioned, they had completely changed the interior of this vintage bus to be more of a mobile tea parlor. And they did such a good job. They actually had vintage wallpaper with these cute little forest animals on them, lining the whole thing. There were lights and leafy garlands around the top, and they had these really cute little booths that you could sit in. They had some that were just facing forward with a table, and then there were a couple that had a booth facing each other with a table in between. They had upholstery with like this vintage fabric. And it was such a fun and cozy little vibe that really fit in with the old double-decker bus. Oh, and just one little detail that was the icing on the cake was during the whole tour when there wasn't commentary, they were playing music like Frank Sinatra and all these oldies that really just added to that vintage atmosphere, and it was very relaxing as well. I also absolutely loved the menu. They had a great selection of sandwiches, cakes, pastries. They even had fresh scones, huge scones that they took out of the oven around halfway through, and you could have them with clotted cream or jam. And then on top of that, they had unlimited drinks while you were there. So they had bottled water, tea, of course, coffee, and some really good hot chocolate, and you could have as many drinks as you want. The food menu was set to what was in front of you, so you would share that with your party. But actually, for the two of us, we had more than we could eat. I got on the bus very hungry, and so when I saw the tiered tray of tea fare, I was thinking, I will probably need more than this, but we actually didn't even end up finishing all that was in front of us. These scones that they brought out were huge, and so I didn't even get more than a couple bites of that. We had a couple cakes left over, so I felt kind of bad, but there was a good amount of food, and we both came away very full. All in all, I thought this tour was just a really great way to combine a few different things at once. We got to experience a traditional Irish tea, we got food, which we needed, and we got to keep moving and see more of Dublin while we ate. So it ended up being a really fun tour. It was a little different than any of the other bus tours we took. We took a couple different ones with the Big Red Bus, and this one was just a very different type of atmosphere. Again, there was less commentary, and the commentary was different because there was a different perspective from this tour company versus the Big Red Bus. And so overall, it was so much fun. We had an absolute blast. The staff was amazing. They were very attentive. Everything we ate was delicious. And I would do this again in a heartbeat the next time I was in Dublin. This particular trip had two different pricing options. You could sit on the lower level starting around 50 euros per person for an adult. Children are a little bit cheaper. Or you could upgrade to more of a deluxe experience and sit on the upper level of this double-decker bus for closer to 55 euros. We wanted to do that, but they only had one seat when we went to book our tickets. So if that interests you, I would recommend that you book your tickets early. They also do seating based on a first booked, first served policy. So the sooner you purchase your tickets for the event, the better spot you'll get on the bus. We actually ended up right up front on the left side of the bus, so the driver's on the right side. I had a perfect view out the front windshield of Dublin, and it ended up being just the ideal spot to take in all the sights, and it was a really cozy little nook to enjoy our afternoon tea. If you want to check this tour out, you can visit their website at vintageteatrips.ie. I also have a full blog post about the experience on my website at cochranewriting.com if you want to read a little bit more about it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that thumbs up before you go. And if you're not already subscribed to Carried Away Travels, please hit that subscribe button before you leave as well. I really appreciate it, and it means so much to have your support. Thank you for being here to watch this video today, and happy travels.